Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the second part of our discussion on Shariah contracts for Islamic financial instruments. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the general classification of contract in Islam. As you can see, there are at least three general classification of contracts in Islam. So the first contracts is the charitable contracts or aqdun tabarru'at. The second classification of contracts in Islam is the exchange contracts, and thirdly, the classification of contracts in Islam can be classified as the partnership contracts. So the exchange contracts and the partnership contracts are the profit-making contracts. As you can see, when we discuss about the products of financial banking and financial services, so most of their contracts that been utilized in their products are from the categories of profit-making contracts, such as the exchange contracts and the partnership contracts. So in the case of the types of contracts, we can see that there are actually four types of contracts, which is the supporting contract. The second types of contracts is the charitable contracts. Thirdly is the partnership contracts, and last but not least is the exchange contracts. So under the supporting contracts, we can see the application of kafalah, the application of hawala, and also the application of the contract of ar-rahn. And in the category of charitable contracts, we can see several type of contracts, such as the hibah, qardul hasan, waqaf, wasiyah, and also takaful. So this fall under the charitable contracts. And in the case of partnership contract, we can see the type of contracts that falls under the partnership contracts, such as the musyarakah, the mudarabah. Mudarabah is a profit sharing agreement or contracts, and then we can see muzara'ah and musaqah. So muzara'ah and musaqah is normally applied in the financing of agriculture products. So all four types of contracts that falls under the partnership contracts, we can see here is partnership contracts whereby the contracting parties are partners to one another. And then the fourth type of contracts, which is the classification of contracts, which is the exchange contracts. Under these exchange contracts, we can see many contracts falls under this type of contracts. So the first one is like murabaha, which is the markup sale. Secondly is the istisna, the manufacture sale. And then buy muajjal, which is deferred sale. And then buy salam or forward sale. And then buy sarf, which is the foreign exchange contract. And then ijara, and also the ju'ala or the fee-based contract. So these are the type of contracts that falls under each and every classification of contracts. So there are various forms of Islamic contracts used in banking and financial services. In the case of products which offer deposit taking from the customer, so the contracts that is previously used by the financial services force is named as Wadi'ah Yad and they also offered the Mudarabah profit sharing investment account. But nowadays the Wadi'ah Yad is no longer available because all of the contracts has been converted to the court contract. So nowadays the deposit taking contracts, especially that falls under the savings account and current account, so most of them are using the contract of al-qard, which is loan. This is to reflect the exact nature of deposit taking by the bank, whereby when the bank offer a deposit products to the customer, so it is actually the bank keep the deposit, and at the same time the bank use or borrow the amount of money that customer deposit in their deposit accounts. So that's why, to reflect the actual transaction that happened, so it is better to use the court contract instead of Wadi'ah Yad. And then products which falls under the sales-based contracts, these are such as an example is like BBA Bainah, which is the deferred sale contract, Murabahah contract, which is the cost plus sale, and then Bai'ul Tawarruk. So normally the products that falls under sales-based contracts, for example, like house financing, and then we also have like personal financing, and then some banks are also using the Murabahah contract for car financing. And then we also have the lease-based contracts. So for lease-based contract, many of the bank are using the Ijarah Summa Al-Bay' contract for the products, for the car financing products. So we can see the contract names ITAB, Al-Ijarah Summa Al-Bay'. So this is for the purpose of car financing. And then in the case of sukuk issuance, for example, so we can also see many sukuk issuance actually structured using the Ijarah contracts. So in order for us to know, so normally the sukuk will be named against its Sharia contract. So you can see also the sukuk has been issued and using the lease-based contract. And then we can also see some banks are offering the equity-based contracts for the financing purposes, such as the Mudarabah and Musyarakah. And for this kind of contracts, normally we can see in the sukuk issuance, so we can see sukuk issuance that using the Mudarabah and also Musyarakah. For the retail financing, such as house financing, we can also find some banks are using the Musyarakah Mutanakisah contract, but it is not widely used by most of the banks. And then we have fee-based contracts. So fee-based contracts are such as Kafalah, Doman, and also Wakalah or agency. So for Kafalah and Wakalah, so it's normally used in the trade financing products such as Wakalah letter of credit, and then we can also see shipping guarantee, so that is using the Kafalah contracts. and we can also see banks are offering products by the name bank guarantee. So bank guarantee is also using the kafalah contracts. And then last but not least, I think this one is last, is the hybrid contracts. So hybrid contracts is such as the musyarakah mutanakisah. Musyarakah mutanakisah is actually using the concept, the hybrid concept of musyarakah and also the ijarah. So when the bank and customer purchase the house, so during that time, the bank and the customer is owning the house on the basis of musyarakah. So each and every partner hold a value of the property equivalent to the amount of money that they contributed. And then those who the customer will lease the house from the partners, and so the leasing part is structured under the contract of ijarah. So we can see under one product, so we have two different type of contracts. So that's why they are named as a hybrid contracts. And then we can see also the aitab al-ijarah summa al-bay' is also a hybrid contracts. And one more, I think we can also include tawarruk. The tawarruk financing and commodity murabahah tawarruk also can be classified as a hybrid contracts, because in the tawarruk contracts or the tawarruk facilities, we can observe that there are several Sharia contracts being applied in the facilities or in the products, in the product itself. For example, we have murabahah sale contracts, and then we have agency contracts also in the tawarruk arrangement, and we can also find the contract of bai' wadi'ah, whereby the products being sold by the customer at a discounted price from the amount that he purchased from the banks. So several contracts has been combined structured in one facilities. So we call them as the hybrid contracts. So another element, this is not a contract, but it is, I think, a principle which has been widely used by the banking and financial services, which is the promise or undertaking principles. I think we will discuss the issue of promise and undertaking in our future lecture. So next we are going to discuss about the characteristics of Sharia compliant banking and financial system. So of course these are all the characteristics of Sharia compliant banking and financial system. So the first one is freedom from riba, freedom gharar, freedom from darar, freedom to contract. So these few things we have already discussed in our class. For example, the element of gharar, the element of riba we have discussed, and then the element of qimar and maisir also have discussed it. And then the Sharia compliant banking and financial system also should be free from price control and manipulation. And then the contracting parties are entitled to transaction at a fair price. And also the important part of Islamic banking is to promote brotherhood. So it's not only monetary objective, but it also to promote brotherhood. So that's why there are element of nowadays the bank negara have strategized the value-based intermediation strategies. So bank, I think one of the direction is also to promote brotherhood, equality, and to promote public interest, which is the maslahah. So last time the focus of Shariah banks is just to promote or to develop a Sharia, fully Sharia compliance product. But nowadays they are moving, they extend further towards giving a value based intermediation strategy or target towards the society. But at the same time, without um, denying their rights to get the profit. So in order to structure financial products that comply Sharia compliance, so these are few things which are important for the banks to understand or to consider during the structure of products. So the first one is the Sharia compliance of the product, the risk elements, the legal structure, the viability of the products, and also the most important thing is about the customer demand. So normally when bank will develop a new products, so they need to develop or to develop a product working committee. So normally under the product working committee, several departments will join the product working committee. So all of them will cater their own expertise. For example, a representative from Sharia department will focus on the issue of compliancy of the products, and then those from representative from risk management department will focus on risk issues when new products is going to be introduced. Same goes to the legal department people. So they will they will focus in the legal structure, the act which come into enforcement, and then the viability of the products. So this one maybe we call them as the business products, we'll see. And then also I think the most important thing is the account, the finance department, and finance and account department. So they are focusing on the accounting issues related to the products, the new products. So this is important to understand when a new product is going to be structured by a banks. So a product working committee which consists of uh, several experts from each and every important department within the banks will sit to discuss and raise issues, potential issues with the new products that is going to be structured. So that is how bank structured their products. So, okay, we can see here the main banking or main business of banking or Islamic banks. You can see here, and most of the banks in Malaysia are focusing on consumer and business, and then some banks are also focusing on investment and treasury department. Okay, and then under the consumer business, so normally this is a plain vanilla punya products. So we can see home financing, car financing, personal financing, credit cards, savings, deposits. So these are basics products for the consumer business. And then we can see the business, or we can also see that as a wholesale business, a wholesale client. So under this business, we can find the asset acquisition. For example, customer would like to purchase a factory, purchase a land, maybe purchase a machine. So that is under the asset acquisition products. And then we can see For the business customer also, the banks will normally offer cash line or working capital products. And for those business customer who normally do import and export, so bank will also offer them the trade financing products. And then for construction companies or those who involve in projects, so banks will also have products that offer the project financing for them. Okay, so I think that's all for our second session related to the Sharia application Sharia contracts for Islamic financial instruments. So we are going to continue the session on this topic later. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.